Hey, today is April 29th. We are at Paul Robeson Park in Petworth in Washington, D.C. It's 2023. Could you tell us your name?
Yes, Alexis Haggins.
And could you tell us your connection to the neighborhood?
Absolutely. So I actually grew up in this neighborhood. My father, who owned the florist before me for many, many years, moved from his original florist on Georgia Avenue over to 8th and Upshur Street when I was 9 years old. And we stayed in this neighborhood until I turned about 21 years old. So I went to school in this neighborhood. I volunteered at Petworth Library for many years. I had my first full-time job at the Recreation Center. Also worked at the Pizza Hut. So I'm very familiar with this neighborhood.
That's terrific. And what's your connection now today?
So my connection now is that I have reopened my father's business, which was named after myself, Flowers by Alexis, here back on Upshur Street in the Petworth community.
Oh, that's terrific. And how long have you been running that?
So we've had that space for about a year, but we've officially opened in January of this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So could you tell us maybe about, we're here celebrating Paul Robeson's belated birthday, as
Yes.
well as the sculpture that Uzikee Nelson built to celebrate the life of
Yes.
Paul Robeson that stands behind you. And we're really interested in looking at the connection between kind of community and kind of artistic expression and political action and activism. I'm wondering if you might talk to us a little bit about the importance and the role of being a florist as kind of a form of creative expression and how that connects to the community.
Absolutely. So for me, working in a florist and making arrangements is very therapeutic. And that's the reason why we offer the Build Your Own Bouquet, because it helps individuals in the community to be able to express themselves and be creative, and also provide a therapeutic experience for them, right? I also feel as though like the future classes that I will offer will help those who suffer from mental health. So those who have anxiety or depression or even grieving, floral making will definitely help an individual to be calm and just express their creative selves. So I feel like floristry is a big help when it comes to the community, specifically those in the mental health.
And then you said your dad was also a florist.
Yes.
And I wonder if you might tell us about how, and you've obviously been around this your whole life, how kind of that has both kind of remained the same and maybe changed over the course of your life from his practice to yours.
Yep, so like you said, I grew up in the florist, so I was able to learn a lot from my dad, watching him down to cleaning the flowers and creating centerpieces. One thing that I did say that I would do differently for my space is because I remember going to different florists and wholesales where there was supplies and junk everywhere, and I always just wanted to make my florist a place that's very clean and a space that people will want to come and just have that experience, right? And just create an environment that is very welcoming to individuals. He didn't do the fresh flower stand where you would build your own bouquet. And I just feel like that's a really important piece because experience is everything. My main goal is for a person to walk into the florist and have that experience and remember it. And so when they leave out, they feel differently from when they came in, more relaxed and more accomplished, and even identify the creativity side that they maybe didn't have, right? So just to always provide a different space for someone, not just as a florist, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like a community gathering space.
Absolutely.
For all of those different, as you said, much greater than just getting flowers, but all the therapeutic aspects to it.
Yes.
I'm curious a little. I'm going to just go back a little bit in time.
Yes.
But how did your dad get into being
a florist?
Yeah.
Okay, so he started off as a delivery driver for a florist. There was a family-owned florist here in Upper Northwest and Georgia Avenue. And then he started working actually inside the florist. He was really good at what he did. And when the owner was ready to retire, they wanted to sell the business, but really couldn't find anyone to sell it to. And my dad couldn't afford to buy it. but they gave, my father pretty much inherited that business, and he kept that business for many, many years after that. Until he decided to move here on Upshur Street, and he changed the name. So the original florist was called Colony Florist, and then he changed the name to Flowers by Alexis.
And how? So you've been again in the neighborhood as
Yes.
well for your life, and I'm wondering how, again, similar question, but how have things kind of both changed over time, and possibly certain things have continued on?
Mm-hmm. So what I love about when I came back is that there were new businesses that was on the street, of very diverse businesses and restaurants. I love that, right? And then a lot of the same individuals that I grew up with are still here. And so there are many changes, but yes, some still the same. And then when I obtained my space, everyone was just so welcoming, right? So people who already knew me, and my dad, was very happy, but people that I didn't know who, moved into the neighborhood, everyone was just so very welcoming. And I just love that about this neighborhood.
It's terrific.
Yes.
And then I guess I want to ask a little bit about this particular space.
Yes.
How do you remember this, maybe if you do remember it as a child, and how's that kind of memory of this space and your understanding of it again?
I don't remember much about this particular space, but what I have realized being back in the neighborhood that I love is that the individuals of this community maintain it. The flowers that the community, I think there's a group, Petworth Bloom or something like that, who plants flowers and maintain the different parks as a community effort. I love that. I absolutely love that and appreciate, the care that people take in this neighborhood.
Oh, that's terrific. And that the sculpture stands
And the
amidst
sculpture,
this
yes.
Beautifully landscaped
does.
space, which actually is kind of just this, might just be a traffic triangle, but has been turned into a bit of an oasis.
Absolutely, yes.
Anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, I just thank you for the opportunity to speak, and what you guys do. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay.